Oh, we'll kind of just go into this non-casually.
So this is going to be the opening right here, eh?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So,
Underwater, Invisible Man. This is our spotlight.
I'm okay with that. We're going to start off with the Invisible Man, the remake.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember, like, just kind of go into this of how this movie came to be. The Invisible Man originally was like gonna be this huge epic. They had Johnny Cast, right, or Johnny Cast. They had Johnny Depp cast ready to go, and when the Mummy, the Alex Kurtzman,
they're doing their whole dark verse, right?
Yeah, that crap. When that just fell to shit, then they're like, nope, fuck everything. And then Blumhouse was like, well, we'll keep this. We'll remake it, which is the correct way to go. I don't know why they need to do some big epic thing. There was no need for it, and it'd been 20 years since we got Hollow Man,
which was an experience as well, to say the least.
Well, yeah, Paul Verhoeven, who's kind of like pioneers in like his psychosexual thrillers.
I was gonna say the whole CGI with the I'm not even going to get into that. It's just awful. We're going to get into a tangent on this. When you morph
psychosexual thriller with Invisible Man remake, it leads to Kevin Bacon.
Yeah,
that's what you need to know. Oh, and Academy Award nominated visual effects.
That said, this is all about, emotional gaslighting and abuse, and it works perfectly.
That's the interesting thing with the take of it, because you have the director who is Lee Windle, I think is his name. He's the writer. He was originally the writer of Saw. He did like the first few Saw movies with James Wan. James Wan directed the first one, and then he did the Insidious movies and Specs in that, and then and that's like, so he's had a history of Blumhouse for a while, and then he did a really good movie called Upgrade, and that had a really unique kind of intense style to it.
Yes, you tangent quite a bit before we went to this movie about that.
Yeah, that's why I was excited that he was the one that they got to write and direct it. So I was expecting an interesting movie. I didn't realize that what we'd get is like, a commentary,
just horror. It gets real, like really
real Academy Award level movie.
And without me saying a single word, he said that I could never leave him. That wherever I went, he would find me. That he would walk right up to me, and I wouldn't be able to see him, but that he would leave me a sign.
When I first saw this movie, after it was over, I was like, this should be nominated for Best Picture. It was that good. And just kind of going into it with Elizabeth Moss, she really like holds her own with it. And I'm not the biggest fan of her.
To that.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Elizabeth Moss to begin with. Like, I like her. She was okay in Mad Men. Like, well, she's got good moments in Mad Men, but wasn't anything crazy. And then like I saw her in like movies like Get Into the Greek and stuff like that. But then she kind of got better in like The Handmaid's Tale. But this was the first movie where I was like, she should be nominated for an Oscar.
I can't tell you right now. He's listening. He's in the room, James.
She's so like broken in it.
Yes, she is.
It's really believable all the way to like the first scene. Like, we'll just kind of get right into this, but like the first scene where it's so tense because it's like nighttime, you don't know exactly what's going on.
What is happening?
Yeah, it's just like
your hair's already on that tip of your neck.
And and it's just like, I gotta go. Everything's set up, boom, 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 boom. And then you kind of just have that intensity throughout the entire movie of like, she's escaped, but it doesn't really feel like it.
Then it was controlling when I left the house and what I said, and eventually what I thought.
But even in that opening shot of him holding her, the way he holds her is just like, it's terrifying. You feel tension.
There's that flinch moment, right? Where like it's just like, oh, everything about that and that actor too. I forgot his name, unfortunately, but he's in like quite a few things.
He's terrifying.
Now. He
Props
kind
to him
of
for that.
The first time I saw him in was The Haunting of Hill House, and then he's
oh my god, yeah.
He was like the
don't know how I zoned out on
brother.
That one.
But then he's in the second season, which is The Haunting of Bile Manor.
I still need to
and
watch
he's
that.
amazing in that. Like his Scottish accent is insane.
Okay.
I literally was like, wow, I didn't know he was Scottish, and he's like, he's not, and I was like, what? Like I thought he was Scottish. But he delivers a super intense performance in this one as well.
But I'm the only one who can help you. Remember? Because I know you better than anyone else in the world. I mean, that shouldn't come as a surprise.
Even though he's barely in it.
Yeah.
He's really in this, like the beginning.
Opening and then the end.
In the end.
And that's it.
Because the plot basically is that after she escapes him in that prologue scene, it's like, well, he killed himself and you're kind of to blame. But it's like, you're going to get all this money.
But we're going to make you feel like a piece of shit for it.
And then all of a sudden she's staying with her cop friend and his daughter in their house. And she's like really afraid of going outside.
Paranoid.
Yeah,
she doesn't believe he's dead.
Yeah. Well, and that's also the thing. She always thinks he's going to come back. There's that great scene where she's trying to get the mail, and they kind of have that kind of as a setup thing. And then as she's progressing through and says like, okay, you know what? I'm going to send you to school now that I have this money, and I'm going to restart my life and everything. And she's really modest about it too. Which is great.
She isn't she's not flaunting the money either. No. She's doing it to good causes and for a better living.
And it also goes just down to like good character setup and good writing with the director. Like he just did a good job structuring that up, that you would have this character just feel so like broken and destroyed, and it's only been like 10 minutes. And that was like one thing I thought was amazing, is like I care so much about her, and like I said, I wasn't a big fan of Elizabeth Moss, but like I was immediately sucked into her character, and everything just felt really grounded and real. And then when it starts going on and nobody believes her that there's somebody attacking her and it's like, oh no, she's insane, you're just crazy. I was like, oh my God, this is a commentary on gaslighting.
It is, and it's awful.
It's brutal. It's
even
brutal.
gaslight you because they start playing with the trope that might be his brother that's behind it all. So you start just believing he's dead. He is actually dead. It's his brother all along. And they play with that trope for the first half of the movie too. And it's awful.
Yeah, it's like it turns into a mystery of like, because the whole movie you're like, well, he's dead. Like, so who is it? Right. And how is it happening? You don't even really know what the hell this guy does as a living. It's just, he's mega rich. That's it. Mega rich and violently controlling
some sort of science in the basement, and that's all that's set up at the start.
And then another thing that I thought was really interesting about the directing of this movie, and with him just in general, is he has this really intriguing intensity to him. So like his movies will have really great character dynamics. He's really like, you can tell he's a writer at the beginning. So he's like really cares about like setting characters up, setting things up, all the structure beats are there and everything's there, and all the characters feel really rounded. And he likes using this, I forgot the name of it, but it's this new type of camera rig, and every filmmaker now should use it, because what it is it can preset movements. So you'll have it be like, okay, at like this time code here, I'll be here, and then it will move here, and then here, and then here, and then here.
Lay down.
Acting with it, syncing with the acting, and then they also cameraman. It's like it
flows so perfectly.
It's really hard to do because it's on like on a beat. So how they did it is like, it's like 1, 2, 3, move, 1, 2, 3, move. And if you're not, because focus and everything, you're not in that position on your mark, you got to do the whole damn thing again. But when you're able to pull it off, you get really amazing results. And that's why it's like when you watch movies like Upgrade and The Invisible Man, and you see those scenes like that in the hallway scene when all the cops are getting messed up.
And they're not incompetent. Speaking of writing, that was really well done too.
every character is smart.
Yeah.
Because like you take all the characters, like as writing, it feels like he's like, okay, I'm just gonna have realistic characters and I'm gonna put this very unrealistic situation in
where
and then
they're
have
reacting.
everybody react correctly.
No, she hasn't explained to me why we're here yet, but being her very good friend, I know it's a good reason, so I'm gonna need you to sit up and listen, show a little respect.
My brother controlled me long before he met you, Cecilia. I hated him. You and I, we got that in common. I was relieved when I heard that he was dead.
I think we could kick Dad out and have a little girls' night, eat some cake.
Yeah, I do like cake.
Oh my God. Sydney, are you okay? Why would you just stop? Stop, Dad! Dad! No.
I shouldn't have walked out on you and left you alone. I failed you.
And and that just worked out really well.
No dumb cops accusing her of stuff. They realize there's something in there, and then they just get murked, and they're trying to stop this invisible force.
And then even when there is a moment where they're like, well, I don't know, this sounds pretty crazy. It's followed immediately by just the realization that something's going on.
Yeah.
And
awesome.
There's a few scenes I want to talk about, but a really big one that is like amazing is when she's alone in the house and it ends with them in the attic. And it's in the trailer. But this is like the realization for sure that like it's a man, you know, and something definitely is going wrong here. And it's a really well set up kind of like a home invasion scene where it's like you don't know exactly. No, she's kind of searching for things, and then she starts getting attacked again. And then she goes up to the attic and she
has the paint bucket.
She like calls a cell phone, and there's a cell phone
and then
right above
in the,
and it's like this tense moment, and then and then she starts getting attacked.
Realization she's been living there the whole time while that's going on.
Yeah, grabs the paint, throws it at him, and it's like a stinger moment. When you think about on paper, it's just like, then she throws paint at him. It's almost laughable.
And it almost seems like a generic jump scare, but how they deliver it is terrifying.
It's genuinely terrifying. I feel, and I think this also just a sell of her performance in general. She really sells like a genuine fear when she's being attacked by a guy in a green, basically in a green suit. Yeah. And that stuff was done really, really well.
It was scary. It was scary.
So I gotta give her props on her performance, and it like she steals the whole movie because it is
it's
her
focused on her. The cop at the end steals that scene in the hallway. That was awful. He does a really good job of showing.
He's really good at
pain and confusion.
Yeah, he's really good at doing at pretending to be like beating the shit out of, because and he's a big dude too. So it also kind of solidifies just the insanity of our main villain. Where he is, because he's not, I wouldn't say he's necessarily like, it comes off as like this strikingly, it comes off more like a Ralph Fiennes or a Joseph Fiennes. He really reminds me of Joseph Fiennes, Ralph Fiennes' brother. So to the point when I first saw it, I thought it was Joseph Fiennes. I was like, is that Joseph Fiennes? Yeah, but it is not. So, but he acts like him and has like that kind of like cynicism that he can do.
Of course.
Going into the side characters with the cop and his daughter. That's a really strong dynamic that they have as well, because it gives her like hopes of like a new life.
That one school is my goal. Parsons is my goal.
Yeah, I told you to have goals, plural.
I think it's important to have goals, James.
Hey, look at you, getting out into the world.
By next year, you'll make it across the street.
You're really rooting for her to get out of her funk and like move on. We know the movie's called The Invisible Man, so it's like we know what's about to happen,
but nobody else does.
But we care.
How can you
and
believe
the movie sells it?
And that's the whole premise of the story too. How can you believe what she's saying?
There's also
it's just madness.
It also, you can tell also that he has a horror background, because it's not just immediately she gets attacked by him. It's like subtleties. So it's like, it's kind of like, okay, first there's like sounds. Feels like someone behind me, and then she can like write that off as, I'm just like scared. The presence of him is terrifying me. But then it's like it all gets solidified in that kitchen when you're just like, holy shit.
And that hits the fan.
Amazing.
And speaking of amazing shots, the whole rain sequence when you don't know where he is and they play with all the shots making your imagination go wild, that was mad.
That's like, there's two things. I know like you're making Invisible Man movies, so you want to use those, but like it feels like that might have been, I don't think it was, but it feels like that and the paint scene might have been homage to Hollow Man, with like them making that like cake mold for him.
Yeah.
I just like that remind me of Hollow Man, and then the whole facility end scene when like it's like sprinklers are down and the water's pushing off of him, and he's got that big metal rod from Hollow Man. Yeah, that just kind of really reminded me of that. Yeah. But I remember watching like those fight scenes with him when he actually is like, I'm not even gonna worry about people knowing if I'm real or not anymore. And I was like, this man is like a shit tank. He's just taking down anybody and everybody.
And then to pull that off and then go to him being the victim at the end and playing that off was just awful and awesome at the same time.
Looks like he was a victim of his brother, just like you were.
No. No, James. That's not right. This is what he does. He makes me feel like I'm the crazy one.
The victim card part of it, is, it goes back to gaslighting as well, but it's like the victim card part of it is like, I hate this man.
And he's smudge smiling.
I hate him so much that at the end, when she does get her comeuppance, it's like
the most gratifying thing ever.
Yeah, it's like, you just murdered a man, and I'm totally okay with it because the guy is a fucking monster.
Just the worst.
Yeah, it's done so well.
Surprise.
Also, God complex that they play throughout, that's his undoing at the end when she kills him. He dies the exact same way he killed the sister.
Yeah, so in a slight way, there is like an elitism kind of commentary there of like, when you have that much power because somebody. I guess that's one thing we should mention. The suit in all the other Invisible Man movies, it is chemicals and potions that turn them into, or medical science, like in Hollow Man, that turn them into being invisible. This one's a full-on suit. Yeah, and
terrifying.
I loved it because even like the technology, I want to say that in the commentary or the behind the scenes, I read that the technology of it is actually based off of real technology, where it's like on the front it's a camera, I think, or on the back it's a camera, and then mirrors
projectoring.
Yeah, and
it's
then
like
it just projects to look like
hologram effect you can get when you bend a piece of like it's two plastic panels, or I think it's glass actually. You bend it at an angle and then it looks like you're seeing a ghost or a projection. Actually, Western Development Museum has a little house that sets up ghosts with that effect.
Oh,
yeah, fun fact with Kade.
So it's like interesting,
similar idea.
And when you see the suit, you're like, oh shit. And it's also very like of his style as well, like to make it a suit, going back to like Upgrade.
They also look like eyeballs, and it's really unsettling.
Yeah, it is. It's an unsettling suit. It kind of reminds me of just like I don't know if anybody on Zero Channel, the Tooth Man, I don't know, from season 1.
Tooth Man,
yeah,
Tooth Man. Not ringing a bell for me, man.
If anyone's seen that, it's good. But you kind of just like the look of it with like the mask and the like the dark shape. Just for some reason, I was like Tooth Man and aliens.
Yes,
like, yeah. It just reminded me of an alien in general. Like it is creepy, but also effective. Like I remember when you get those close up, those money shots of the suit, and you're like, oh fuck,
and
like,
your mouth opens every time pretty much too. It's always a jump scare.
That's also when you realize, like, that's the big realization that like, oh shit, okay, so like this is my proof.
This has been grounded. This is how I prove I'm innocent and not insane.
And they set up that there's also 2 suits, which is important.
It is.
Yes.
It was a great movie. I'm bummed out I missed the pivotal part the first time, in all honesty. But
fucking too. The same thing happened to me.
Oh man. Yeah, man. I watched it like 3 times now, but I really do enjoy this movie. The one we're transitioning to in a little bit, Here's Underwater, is the one I was adamant about, but this was a really solid movie. And the commentary on abuse is heavy but really good. It really highlights stuff that I think we as a society, the Me Too movement stuff, is starting to address, but even then they're putting so much crap under the rug. So this movie really calls that out, actually.
Well, that's the thing that I wanted to go into. So you said
perfect.
it perfectly. Was the whole like kind of a women getting a bigger say in Hollywood now. It's like you have so many movies coming out, like Promising Young Woman, and then there were some before, but like an example is like Black Christmas, where Black Christmas 100% is too on the nose, and it's like there's not that level ground where it's like, oh, some guys are good, it's not everybody, and you know this that. The Black Christmas remake is terrible. It's just like very rude. If you're a man, I would strongly believe like in 10, 15 years, people will look back at that movie as like straight up sexist. And but what I like about this one is that it really takes like a serious thing that happens in the world, brings it into a fantasy situation by turning it into a sci-fi. Yeah. So it's not a fantasy movie anymore. It's a science fiction movie just by the suit.
Yes.
It's so grounded. It just like what science fiction is. It's like grounded fiction. Yeah. So I really enjoyed that spin on it, other than having it be like the crazy doctor creating a formula, because we've seen it before. Johnny Depp would have been good for that, but like with this one, this is a far better.
And it's a great standalone in that sense too.
I just love the idea that he said, hey, I have to write and direct an Invisible Man movie, and this is what he got. He got like this smaller, like character study drama about coming over a really difficult situation, and then kind of sneaked in a thriller with it, and did it to a very effective degree, because it is nail biting. It is tension driven. You are rooting for them to get through this every step of the way, and there's straight up horrific moments, going back to when that cop is getting like the shit kicked out of him. It really sucks to see, because he's he's a really nice guy.
He's like one of the few people who starts turning around. He's grounded, and at that moment, you know already that he hasn't a chance in hell after they took down basically everybody at the asylum, but he still just wants to protect his daughter. That's why he's there. And then he just gets beat down with that bat, and you feel terrible.
Yeah, it's comparing and contrasting. There's characters there that are clearly there to show the end of the tunnel.
Yes.
And then there's characters there that are to keep her in the dark the whole time. Yes. That would be her brother. Her brother's a slime ass. Like he's a shithead character. But they also a victim, which I really like that scene where she is like in the office talking about their kind of like deal.
And how he gets beat down by his older brother the whole time.
And he's just like, my brother abused me. He was a shithead. So there's victims on all levels, and then you feel sympathy. I even as much as the shitball he is, you feel a bit of sympathy for him, because it's like
it's true, and that's the whole really thing. Sad. One of the commentaries. It's why this is a horror, in my opinion. Isn't so much the monster in the suit, quote unquote, but it's so much the perpetuation of violence that continues, and the cycle of victims becoming abusers and all that good jazz. It's really depressing, but that's what makes it so horrifying.
It's a monster movie on the level of Silence of the Lambs.
Yes.
The real monster, the real human, emotional kind of level of monster.
Yes.
Where it's
I agree on
the psychopath. Where he is a psychopath. He has like no emotions. He wants her all to himself, and going back to that elitism, he can't have her, so he just goes insane. He just allows his violent tendencies to come out, and just like, I'm gonna kill you, and it doesn't matter. But it goes even further than that. He's not wanting to kill her. He's wanting to destroy her.
Everything.
Take everything away from her, which, going back into real life, is things that happen.
Yep,
you could take away the aspect of it being the invisible man and just have it be a guy coming in
And it
at
would
night
be-
while she's alone and terrorizing her and faking his
In
death.
many ways, that'd be even
It'd be
scarier.
yeah, and it would be like the same movie, which is really interesting.
I think it's good that they went the suit route because I don't think a lot of people would be even able to stomach how real that would have got otherwise.
It's an uncomfortable movie.
It is,
just like
yeah.
when you really start thinking about all the shit that she goes through. It's awful, and it's
It
just
is.
like it's heartbreaking, and it's done really well. It's something that, as I was saying, you just don't expect from an Invisible Man movie. So he took the material and elevated it to that high end level. I am happy that Universal and Blumhouse have this kind of pairing. They're doing a Wolfman now with Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
I think they're going to go down those levels, and if they do, they should really
Elevate it to
They
this
should
level.
ground it like
Yes.
this. The Wolfman movie should be grounded with commentaries about. It doesn't need to be about like abuse, but something in that level.
Yeah.
It's all that one's about metamorphosing, so it could be about a guy changing into something that he doesn't want to be.
It could
you
also
have
be a
those
play on
things.
like immigration or something like that with an outsider and the metamorphosizing or localizing to your environment and then the abuses that come with that.
There's just so much you can do. It's more interesting to me to go down this path of the small, moral driven with commentary about like real life scenarios with these fantasy-esque elements kind of sprinkled
and that's
in
what
there.
make those classics in all honesty.
It's better to do that, in my opinion, than to go and make those bombastic, crazy epics that they were trying to do, because we've got those. Like in the 90s, we got those.
Yep.
We got Dracula, we got Frankenstein, we got Wolf with
Got
Jack
the
Nicholson.
League of Extraordinary
We got
Gentlemen.
the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which he's playing back to the crazy 1933 one. But yeah, and it's like we've got those already, and I know that was 20 years ago, but it's like I don't think we need it. This has not been done yet.
A new story.
So getting this was really nice. I want to see. I'm happy that this movie shot Lee Windle into getting like a sweetheart contract with Blumhouse. It's something like first look at everything, 2 years. He can do whatever he wants, TV or movie. So he's solidified, and for his third movie, I mean, this is pretty amazing. Like Insidious 3 is actually really good. It's nothing like in the other Insidious movies, but in its own self, it's probably the best Insidious movie.
I've only watched the first two. That's the one we got to catch up on still.
And then getting to Upgrade, that was another one where I'm like, this should have been nominated for things. And that was the one that really solidified his style. And then in this one, just like he kind of just perfected it. This is perfect. This is one of those perfect horror films where it's like it elevates itself past its material, becomes something more while still effectively doing everything. Solid script, solid performances, solid directing. Should have been nominated for Oscars. Wasn't. Doesn't really matter, but it's slightly, to me, just made me upset.
It made you mad. I know how you feel.
Going into just the level of like, we need female representation and stuff like this, and it's just like, why the fuck wasn't that there? And I know it was written. I know it was written, directed by a man, but at the same time, it's like that doesn't matter. It's like it's still focused on stuff that happens to females, happens to males, but more so females. And this just like shit. If I knew a girl that was going through that, I'd be like, watch this. Like you might get something from it. I'd recommend it 10 folds over, and I wanted to put it on here just because I thought it's something that deserved a bit more attention other than us going off topic every 5 seconds like other shows we do.
No, I agree.
But I was thoroughly pleased with it. If you can, buy it, give money to these guys, have them make more. I think they are making another one.
Good.
And
this pleases Kade.
Elizabeth Moss won me over. I can't wait to see what she does next. And I'm thoroughly excited for whatever happens next with these guys. And definitely, if you're intrigued in filmmaking, watch the behind the scenes on how they made this movie. It's really fascinating.